Let's travel back in time to 1964. These tapes were provided to radio stations so that disc jockeys could appear to have an exclusive interview with Sean Connery. For these open-end interviews, I will ask some sample questions. Hello, Mr. Connery. This is John Cork from radio station W007. Where are you now?
I'm right on the set of Goldfinger.
Mr. Connery, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right.
Why do you think the first two James Bond films were such a smashing success? And why do you want to spend all this time promoting your new film in America?
Well, I think they had all the ingredients of a very successful commercial film. That's the reason why one did them in the first place. When things happen in America, they happen faster and in a greater ratio, and the returns are much greater. It's the reason why, for example, there are golfers, top 30 American golfers. We can't match them at all here in Europe. That's taking the whole of Europe. I don't think they really come near them. And same as they're sort of top pop singing stars, they make these records, and by the time they make two successful records, the returns are so enormous because of the size and sort of impetus and energy of the country. The returns are so much greater. They're playing in a bigger league.
Mr. Connery, why do you think James Bond has become such a tremendous phenomenon, both the books and the films?
I think a great deal to do with his timing. For example, the reason for the success of the books here in England before they ever, sort of became internationally sort of successful in a way, was the fact that Fleming wrote about a rather eccentric character in a way with a great sort of finesse and tastes in wine, women, foods, etc., at a time when England had just finished clothes rationing, food rationing, had to have coupons for clothes and jackets. You weren't told what you wanted, you were just given it. No lapels, no flaps or anything. So this came along and suddenly it had a great factual basis with a great sort of fantasy element and all the sort of sexual fantasies of the healthiest virile bachelor. These ingredients would be a success under normal conditions, but at this particular time, in the novel sense, confirmed it. Then when the film came along after many sociological dramas and kitchen sink dramas and problematical plays, what with sort of introverts and homosexuals and all sorts of problem plays. This one comes through straightforward with very, very little problems, very, very basic themes such as good against bad, and the bad's pretty bad and the good's pretty good, with a lot of sex, a lot of color, tastefully done, like sort of sadism for the family, and all the materials are present. That's immediate, not thinking in terms of a message for the future or what's happened in the past, but somebody, the central character, the protagonist, is very much concerned with the immediate present, which nobody really seems to be very much concerned with in any other medium.
Sean, if I can call you Sean, you have been propelled to stardom with this role. Some are calling you an overnight sensation. Now, how does that make you feel?
I have never yet met anybody that something happened to overnight. I've been an actor for over 10, 11 years now, and played Macbeth, Hotspur, and Greek plays and Italian plays, and worked in the theatre for 3 years when I couldn't get a job in film and things. And then we did the Shakespearean season in the BBC. Someone's done many things, but the point is that it's timing again. Had one done, say, the Bond films before, like North by Northwest, because there is a certain element of that in them too. I don't know what the success would be. It just is timing.
Sean, how do you handle the success and the tremendous leap in income you've obtained?
Oh, it's no problem at all, because everybody in Scotland has a very healthy respect for money. I have never had any problem feeding myself, or clothing myself for that matter. Once I got into the Navy and out the Navy with ulcers, one took stock, and it wasn't so difficult then. So it's only a larger case of mathematics. I don't think that anybody from a working-class family, say, like myself in Scotland, can ignore economics, because it does control everything you do, such as you got to switch the lights out before you go out the door, and don't waste this and don't waste that. This is just part of your, growing up. This is your sort of heritage.
Enough of these softball questions. Let's hear it, Sean. What makes this James Bond film so enticing?
Nobody's going to say no to gold. This has all the flavors and ingredients of equally good, successful, entertaining film. the same stature as the other two. We've also got a marvelous actor, German actor, Gert Frobe, playing Goldfinger. And it'll have all the dash. It might be slightly longer, actually, with all the materials and things we've got into it. We've also got to do a little bit of damage at Fort Knox, you know, so it gives you a sort of sneaking suspicion as to what the size of the film is. It's the biggest of the three.
Okay, Sean, enough beating around the bush. What is the film about?
All the build-up is to rob Fort Knox, but the twist is that the person who instigates the whole thing doesn't want to rob it. So you figure that one out.
Sean, everybody loved the briefcase in From Russia with Love. Any interesting hardware or weapons in this film?
Well, we have an Aston Martin car that has a few sort of idiosyncrasies which a potential enemy would find interesting.
Now, Sean, we've heard rumors that on this Aston Martin, you've got some machine guns beneath the headlights. Come on, do tell.
Yes, that's right. And there's also a pilot's ejector seat for the fellow traveller, which puts them out through the roof at somewhat hurried speed. Look, a couple of other little things, but it's much better one doesn't disclose them because they lose their flavour. This is a different story and takes place a great deal in America itself, you know, in Kentucky and Miami all around. They're all sort of different facets of the same sort of theme, with, you know, slight sort of variations. And there's a different director this time. Guy Hamilton's directing and not Terence Young.
Okay, Sean, I hear there's a laser beam used in the film. Can you tell me a little bit about it and exactly what is a laser beam?
Well, it's a sort of scientific term. I don't understand a great deal about myself. All I know is that it's a ray that they punch up that can nick a hole in steel, that it can cut through metal and what have you. And this character used it for cutting gold and has an idea of dissecting me with it.
Sean, very enjoyable talking to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed very much being on your program here on the set of Goldfinger in London, England.
This is the second of the open-ended interviews provided by United Artists to radio stations across America. Mr. Connery, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, thank you. When I come up for air, I'll be there in a minute. I'm in the process at the moment of organizing a house, or finishing a house, and I've just finished working through the night shooting.
So you're redoing your house. Found any KGB bugs in there? Any Spectre agents under the bed? So tell me, Sean, how do you try to please all the fans of the James Bond novels?
Well, I'm afraid I just have to accept mine now. I couldn't possibly cater to all Ian Fleming's fans, that's for sure. But having had 2 or 3 meetings with Fleming before we started the film and worked out what I wanted to do with it, and then we had long discussions with Terence Young, the director, before we started, we got a pretty fair picture, I think, what it was about.
Now, Sean, it seems like you are primarily responsible for this incredible success and sex appeal of the James Bond character. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know just how much truth there is in that. Fleming's books have been around for quite a long time now and sort of accumulating a fantastic success. They have snowballed, you know, and they've been good film material. From what I can gather, they had a bit of a problem getting a deal that would satisfy Fleming, in so much that he didn't particularly want an internationally accepted face that was sort of established in that way. He wanted somebody who would be young enough and in the right sort of bracket to do most of his feats. And I saw them and discussed it and said what I thought it was all about. And we seemed to mutually agree, and that was it. But I was over in Canada doing Macbeth, and they had one of these nationwide contests. And, well, here I am.
Okay, Sean, what I'm trying to get at is not how you got the role, but what you think makes James Bond such a popular character.
I think part of his popularity in this country was due to the fact that he came along just after the war, when it had lots and lots of rationing and things, and then suddenly this character came on the scene who lived extremely well, ate well, was rather finicky and eccentric almost to a terrifying degree about what was good to eat, and pages of good fruit, etc. Plus the fact there's a lot of sexual involvement, which is always pretty healthy. You know, you can't disguise the fact that it's around, otherwise there's nobody here.
Sean, your past seems a little bit murky here. Can you give us a little bit more detail on what you did before you became an actor?
Well, I was in the Navy, which helped a bit, I think. I was a steel bender fixer. I was plasterer's labourer, I was lifeguard, I was a French polisher, long-distance lorry driver. I worked in the newspaper office. I forget.
Sean, with this new James Bond phenomenon hitting, you're hotter than Tabasco sauce. How do you feel about your newfound celebrity?
No, there's a steady increase in that. It's not I don't think it's a sort of overnight thing. You know, there's been a sort of gradient. And where I live now, down in Acton, I have a nice house, quite sort of secluded, although it's on a public park and that. And the people are very good, I must say, down there. They don't bother you very much. You go into the shops, you have to get something, and it's a bit of a lark, you know, but they come by the house and they're rather good. They don't sort of clamber over or stare in the windows or any of these things at all.
Sean, the world wants to know, who is your favorite actor?
My favorite actor, actually, is Ralph Richardson. Ralph Richardson.
Sean, good-looking young actors like you come and go. How long do you think you can keep this up?
Well, as long as I keep enjoying what I'm doing and keep interested and excited in what I'm doing, then I have to just go on and on, I suppose. But then if I have a change of heart and mind, then I shall just divert and do something else.
Sean, what does a man like you do with your time when you're not acting?
I don't know. When I'm not working, I seem to be trying to make some preparations for work. I really have to be involved in work or something physical, like I've now taken up golf, which seems to be a splendid compensation. I normally play soccer, but I can't always find 21 other fellows who want to play. I play chess and I read a lot, you know, and a fair collection of records.
Sean, it's been wonderful to get to know you like this, and we've enjoyed having you on our show.
Thank you very much.
Really, the pleasure was all ours.
It was my pleasure too. Thank you.